Hi and welcome to my greenhouse. This is an absolutely gorgeous sort of mid-April morning. It's about 10:30. It's already up to about 21 degrees in the greenhouse. And it's been really quite unseasonably hot in the UK so far this spring. Now, literally a week ago, I had just one or two flowers actually out. The rest were in their nice big tight sort of flower buds like this. Now still there are a lot of them like that. There's a lot of morries at this end of the greenhouse that are still in their tight buds, but we've got an awful lot of flowers actually now out, presenting a really beautiful early sort of display. So we've got some lovely ones like this. This is a Flava rubicorpora crossed with Alata, red lid. So it's got a lot of Alata, sort of very yellow, and also Flava, sort of yellowy flowers in there. We've got some of my old morries, which are sort of a sort of salmony pink colour. There's a nice Luco coming here. See if we can get the camera to focus on that one. So it's got some nice dark red flowers there. And then we've got again some more yellows of Flava rubicorpora, cross with Lata red lid. And some, this is a Flava rubicorpora purple tube. It's got quite a yellowy, almost a yellowy green flower. This is my Luco red tube. Again, some really nice colouring in these. And again, a few more of the yellow ones. I'm not quite sure what those are, probably flowers. We've got a really deep yellow one here. This is my Kimber red ruffles. It actually looks a little bit washed out on the camera, but actually in real life it's a really yellow. It's a really beautiful colour. Where some of these are, it's almost like a lemony yellow, whereas these are sort of a bit more of a sort of a greeny yellow, a bit more washed out in some respects. And we've got a few more, but things are looking really nice at the moment. Aurifila is still quite bare of flowers, lots of flower buds, but she's produced a lot of actual new growth so far. So all these nice pictures growing here. She's not actually, in some respects, the first one to do some pictures. There are some others. I mean, Aurifila is normally pretty early for actually putting up stuff like this. Whereas a lot of the other ones that are in full flower, there are, you know, their sort of actual traps are a lot smaller. We've got a few more beautiful yellow ones back here. Again, I think that is probably, that will be a Flava again. That'll be one of my Flavas. I think this will be my big Mori. For videos, if you've seen some of my videos in the past, this Mori flower is absolutely huge. I mean, it's sort of almost like the size of your hand. It's absolutely beautiful. And we've got some more here. And a few more over here even. So I've been doing a bit of dividing, splitting some up. Quite a few that are overcrowded, so I've been sort of dividing them up. Trying to do that before too much of the actual growth comes on, so I don't damage it. You still do to some extent, but I'm a bit late for the greenhouse ones. I'll show you the ones outside in a moment because they're a lot further back in terms of growth. Again, we've got a nice beautiful one here. And we've got some really nice actual growth on some of my Cadespia crosses here. These look really nice. And we've got some nice lovely young growth coming on the purpureas, both on my red ones, and also there's some nice growth coming on my anthracene free all green ones, which is looking really nice. Again, this is another really beautiful flower. I can't quite read what the cross is on that one. So yeah, we've got some lovely growth coming here. I mean, this is the biggest one in growth so far. This is probably getting on for a foot tall. This is this one marked as SH135. I didn't actually mark the label what this one was, but I think it's a Catesbii, or it could be a Puriphilia cross. I can't remember now. But it produces some really big, beautiful green, big wide sort of Catesbii style traps. So it is very beautiful. And we've even got some flowers, if I can get in under the bench here, coming on the Cobra Lilies. Some lovely flowers coming here. I need to actually start to do a bit of crossing of these ones. So yeah, things are looking really beautiful inside the greenhouse. There's lots of new growth. We've got some lovely new growth coming here on the Sarracenas. I mean, the Sarracenas will be much later flowering. They're in anything, they're a bit of a pain if you want to actually do crosses with them, because they flower really late, and so by the time they flower, pretty much all the other Sarracenas have sort of stopped flowering. Now that might be something deliberate in the wild. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, it's basically quite if you actually want to do some crosses with them. Some other things before we go outside, we've got the Venus flytraps sort of gradually starting to break dormancy here. There's some flowers beginning to come on some of these. Some of my seedlings I planted out just before Christmas, or maybe just into January, and actually had in the greenhouse over winter, so they got their cold stratification period. Got quite frosty, so they would have experienced a nice bit of chilling down there. They're starting to break and actually starting to grow now. So most of those pots there, we've got little two-leaf cotyledons coming up, and they'll soon start to produce, if they haven't started already, I can't quite see here, they'll actually start to produce their first carnivorous traps, which you look at and think, how on earth can they catch anything? And I'm not entirely convinced they do, but they do start to grow, and once they get going, they do take off quite readily. The Bonatas are in full swing at the moment. They're all starting to break dormancy. I've also been pricking a few out of other pots where they sort of self-set, but they're starting to look really nice now, and I do love I like to put lots in a pot, and then you get an absolutely beautiful a sort of mass of their actual tendrils coming up with their sticky leaves on them, and these guys absolutely adore the heat. Some of the other sundews can brown a bit at the end of leaves, black a bit at the end of leaves, because sometimes it can get really quite hot in the greenhouse, but I've never actually had an issue with the Bonatas. They seem to absolutely love it. There's some seedlings from last year which I need to now start pricking out into individual pots. Some of them are doing really well this year. They obviously got a good bit of food last year. Some are still very small, but admittedly those small ones there are my Purpurea all green seedlings. So I'm really pleased with that they've actually come out true to the parents. Although I think one in there, some at the back there, is actually not true to the parents of green. So it'll just be a normal Purpurea. And again, we've got a few more of sort of 2, 3 or 4 year old seedlings in here that are doing all right. A nice little Purpurea here, another little green one. He's sort of cocked up on himself. You do have to be a bit careful now this time of year. You can get some really hot days in the greenhouse, and unfortunately one of the minor rubra crosses that I had at the back of this tray, everything else in this tray was fine. The one at the back there, I came in this morning to water and it was absolutely bone dry. Unfortunately, I probably killed it. So it must have just got propped up on something at the back of the tray there, because everything else was perfectly fine. Again, here's some Capensis, which are doing quite nicely. And Capensis alba. A few at the back there. I trimmed them off. I think they might have got late frosted, which is a bit unfortunate, so I'll have to trim them off again. But they should come back from the roots. They're pretty hardy things. So we just take a trip outside. I'll show you what's going on out there. Now, by comparison with what we've got inside, the stuff outside is a lot further back. So the traps you can see on the rubras here, these are last year's traps. I left them on because they were still very nice. They were still able to catch things. Rubra does keep its pitches really quite well over winter. But all the other ones at the moment are still pretty much in their resting form. There's a few that are starting now to break dormancy with some actual new growth. One's here, and there are a few which have got a small flower spike, but the rest, as you can see from these, there's another one with some flowers coming on. Again, I need to split a lot of these, but given these are a little bit further behind, I'm going to do less damage to these if I leave them a bit longer. So these have all been outside all winter. I mean, even though we've had some really warm days so far this April, it's been chilly at night. So even up to last night, even though yesterday was sort of into the 20s, the night before was down to freezing. There was frost on the ground, and the water in these trays was all frozen. So these guys are sort of gradually coming to and breaking dormancy, but it's for them because of the cold nights and the less protection from the greenhouse. They're a lot further behind, so like I say, there's very few flower spikes up at the moment, and the growth is very, very minimal, and they're just starting to break cover. So yeah, so it's looking really nice, especially the stuff in the greenhouse. So there you go, that's a quick tour around. I hope you enjoy this. I hope anyone else who's growing Sarracenas is also getting a beautiful display like this coming. I mean, in about a couple of weeks time, maybe about a week, 2 weeks time, all these flowers will be out and it'll be absolutely beautiful in here. I mean, it just becomes a mass of flowers, and some years I've had 200-300 flowers. It's amazing when you actually sort of count them up as to how many you get on some of the plants, and it does produce a beautiful display. Also starting to get quite an interesting scent in the greenhouse. Some of the flowers come out really beautifully with a lovely sort of sweet scent, but then you get others like the Flava-based Kimber Red Ruffles, which are, yeah, it's not pleasant. It's a little bit like cat pee, which is not particularly pleasant aroma, whereas some of the others are really sweet and beautiful scented. So you do sometimes come in the morning into the greenhouse, if you've had the door closed or something like that, or it's just been a fairly calm night, no sort of breeze, you come in and you get this overpowering scent sometimes, which is sometimes pleasant, but sometimes not quite so pleasant. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Do give me a like and a subscribe if you do. Leave any comments you'd like, or suggestions for any other videos you might like me to make. And yeah, thank you for watching.